Hello and welcome, family, to another interview here on IG Live. This is tentatively a Revolution podcast episode. I'll be your host, Kevin Orris. So glad you're here. And I'm going to be joined today by Akash Aesthetics. This is an amazing brother I met through a client and dear brother, Sachin. Shout out to Sachin. And Akash and I are going to be talking money, metaphysics, business. We're going to be hearing about his story. We're going to be hearing about how and why mastering metaphysics helps you master money, and why money and business are essential in this time of, this time of chaos, this time of uncertainty in the world, and how you can create more profit, more purpose, more power by leaning in to the laws of the universe. And this is not ultra spiritual. This is grounded inside of the sets of patterns and the sets of laws that are just inherent in reality. And you can test these for yourselves. Don't take our word for it. Do your own research. This is not financial advice. This is metaphysics, which is the physics of how the universe works. So we're going to invite Akash on here, get some bullish knowledge on mastering reality. So if you're joining now, type in the comments where you're joining from. If you're watching the replay, type replay. And we're going to go deep, y'all. One of my favorite topics in the world is business and mastering it and actually serving your purpose, adding value to the world, whether you're an artist, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a coach, you're a healer, you're a consultant, etc. Whatever it is, I think understanding the game of money, understanding business is extremely important. It's not just for business people. This is for anyone who is an investor or a human being who's transacting with money, which, unless you're living in the woods, you might be this person. So extremely important to understand these topics. So welcome everyone joining. Type in the comments if you can hear me, if you can see me, if your heart is beating and you're grateful and you're here in the world. Feeling a lot of feelings. The world is getting crazier. The world is getting weirder. And when the world gets weirder, the weird get active and add value. And weird is a funny word, because actually the word weird in the original Gaelic and the Celtic languages meant purpose. So being weird is actually a good thing. And the English language has kind of taken this and made it weird, or made it, it's a double entendre there, or made it strange, but it's not. It's actually extremely important. Following your purpose, staying activated, and moving towards Dharma, which Dharma is a word that means your divine mission here on earth, why you were born, what's happening, what's being created from your life mission. Why are you incarnated? What's going on inside of you that you want to give out to the world? So stoked to invite Akash on here. It's saying you're unable to join, brother. Hopefully you can receive the invite here. There he is.
What's going on, fam?
What's good, fam? Look at that lion. That's what I'm talking about.
What's good? My camera. Boom. There we go. There we go. Got the line in the background. My man, Kevin.
There we go. Full lion power. What's good, brother?
Fam, let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing really good. I'm actually house sitting for my boy right now. Yeah, it's really cool. The universe has given the lady and I this. We're like, should we move in together? Should we not? Should we not? I don't know. So we're playing house over here at my boy's house. I'm like, oh, thank you. What a beautiful window into what that reality would be. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing. How about yourself, brother?
That's funny how the universe does that. When the question arises, it gives you the dojo to experiment in. So stoked for you and your lady to experiment with that.
Big facts. It's going good. It's going good. I got my man Huxley. Huxley, I am on a call. Stop He's just the most beautiful soul.
Oh, the little lion. Look at
The
this
little
guy.
lion, the little lion. He
That's
incarnated
right.
as a Huxley. Go outside. Here, go. Go, get out there. Disrupting live. Yeah, man, I was excited to meet up. I saw we're going to talk about business, polarity, and last one,
Well, money and metaphysics is what I titled it, but
money and
all of it's
Ooh, I
available.
like that. Money and metaphysics.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. All right, you lead the way.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm just, as to answer your earlier question, I'm doing amazing. It's a foggy day here in Austin, Texas. South by is rocking and rolling, feeling good. Lots of exciting things happening here. Investors, crypto moguls, artists, filmmakers are all gathering here in Texas, dropping the codes. And yeah, man, I think we should start just by, I would love for you to share a little bit about who you are and what you do, how you be in the world for the people that are new to you, Akash.
Awesome, awesome. For those of you guys that haven't met me before, Akash Aesthetics, that's like kind of like my stage name here in the Matrix, you could kind of say. Akash Aesthetics, companies, reality mastering, consulting, essentially guiding businessmen through their spiritual awakening, higher expansion, less on the solving problems, more on just delineating the unseen. We're all doing the same thing. The sector that I serve most is the top 5 percentile type of guys that they need the energy signatures of the business world and like heavy 3D gameplay and 4D gameplay because they've built up these identities that, and frankly, they're very good at shattering, but just what got us here doesn't get you there, kind of thing. And when
Mm-hmm.
getting into the main problem, if there is one, is that the energetic landscape is no longer conducive to 3D and 4D types of businesses or just gameplay or just, ways of moving, ways of thinking, ways of being. So their aura is getting calibrated and their business is an extension of them is getting calibrated as well. So in the pursuit of just higher expansion, just putting more of yourself here in the physical, you end up with a place where like, hey, I kind of have to go against the things that got me everything I want for a while.
Mm-hmm. I
So
love that breakdown.
yeah, so we really tackle that issue, which is not really more of an issue. I really try to stay away from these words of issues and problems because they're just situations, right, to just be further delineated. Um, because, right, the problem and solution, good old Albert Einstein, you can't solve the problem from the level of thinking that it arose from. But yeah, man, a lot of my guys are always just doing, people that come to me are already just doing good, and they're like, hey, I want more.
Yeah, I
There's
love this.
I'm having a harder time finding more, or what more looks like. I can sense that there's more, but I'm not sure what this is. It's going cool, that kind of thing. So I come from business myself, own supplement companies, real estate investing, serial entrepreneurship in general. Like talking to one time tried to make a hot sauce company, like weird shit. I'm like, there's a demand for this. We
Hey,
must.
sometimes you got to be a sauce boss.
Straight Virgo, dog. Straight Virgo. Straight Virgo. I'm just like, all right, market analysis. So I really get I really get that. I really get the whole business archetype. I get it. I get it. I get it. And then my thesis is like, how do I keep a smile on my face at all times? Which led me into become doing bodybuilding, fitness modeling, fitness coaching, growing that business, all the other businesses, getting into more the entrepreneur archetype, to then spiritual awakening, to like now the consulting we do. If I'm not smiling, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
That's a great heuristic. It's a great
Yeah,
model to measure things.
and that's essentially where I come from. Just the dude that wanted to keep smiling, being happy all the time, which was basically the GPS for what my soul wanted me to do. And here we are. Here we are. Here we are.
Here we are. Fuck yeah, man. I love that. Real
Yeah.
quick for the folks that may be new to some of this terminology, I love that you're calling it gameplay, which reality is definitely a game. And real quick, 3D versus 4D versus 5D in business or in this gameplay. Do you want to break that down real quick?
Great, great, great. So like 3D is like chess. You're moving the objects around the board for something to happen. 4D, people think about 4D like the time space matrix, right? So like this is when you're literally outside of time, within yourself, in your consciousness, and your imagination, to be able to go back to old versions of yourself and essentially assimilate all this information to make new moves available to you that quote unquote don't have linear sense, any type of linear grounding, because you're non-linear at this point. You're outside of the time matrix using 4D. So like an easy way to think about this is if you have a business and you're building on top of your business. However, in the pursuit of your whatever venture, your awareness continues to expand. So then you end up looking back in time from a way higher vantage point as
Mm-hmm.
you were in the moves you were making, and then assimilating that info into what you're about to create now. But it's more dynamic because someone can hear that and still think like, okay, isn't that kind of just hindsight? And I'm still moving the pieces on the chessboard. I would say yes and no, because it's building off each other, right? Yes, that 3D explanation that's valid. That those dots do connect. But within the realm of the 4D, what you're doing is you're literally merging realities to create a new like causality. Like that's how you get the random phone call, like the weird,
Mm-hmm.
the weird business
Synchronicity.
crazy ass synchronicity, dog. Like
Yeah.
now, in 3D. There's no synchronicity. There's literally you picking
Mm-hmm.
ass shit and like making your shit.
Well, in 3D, we call it coincidence, right? It's just random.
People call it coincidence, right? So like you're getting a lot of synchronicity. That's a lot of 4D. That's a lot of 4D because you're collapsing the space time matrix within yourself, right? It's just a completely different energy. And let me know if you have another way of articulating this. But I would say the main difference is you're leveraging the laws of the universe versus moving the physical world around you
Mm-hmm.
in 4D. I would
Yeah.
say the most concise way to kind of break it down. And then 5D, you just outside of this whole shit completely. Like, you're just here. Like you're literally just here as just a beacon of light to be used however your like ego dissolves. And mind you, it doesn't mean like you're a straight monk or like if you've seen the movie Lucy at the end of the movie where she's just like I'm
Right.
like that's not what I'm talking. I mean that exists, but that's not what I mean.
Right. Right.
So it's within 5D. You know how to you have dominion over 3D and 4D and 5D like all together. So you can control like when I'm in heavy 5D mode, like I forget about myself. Like especially if I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing talks in front of big people or even things like a cost starts to go away. However, when I'm coaching and then I go back on one-on-one and Akash comes back to go and talk to somebody at a 4D place and explain and draw my stories and use all these things to then get them, get their dimensions of themselves assimilated into a 5D type of a being, which is really just your being. It's the art of being. I always
Mm-hmm.
like, don't think, just be. Like that's really what they meant. But you can't just tell yourself, I'm just going to be. Right? You can't just tell that to yourself, right? There's a natural ascension to these things. And yeah, in 5D, you're outside of the roller coaster of life. You're outside of this, right? It's still happening to you, but you understand how to follow your higher self's path or God's plan, if you will, despite your emotional turbulence that because these it's not turbulence, but they do sway you until you build that muscle.
That's right.
Yeah, because what happens is this emotion, the energy in motion comes into your being at such a rapid rate. In order to be in 5D in the fifth dimension, you have to be able to assimilate the information real time to
Right.
remain the being mode. So a lot of times you're like oscillating between 5D and 4D. And that what that looks like is like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, is because I made a video about this yesterday. It's like you got like a split screen open. Like one screen is the processing of the energies coming in. The other screen is you taking action based on the energy that's coming in simultaneously. And that's really what makes you reside in 5D. And you can't process and execute simultaneously until you're fully integrated into 5D. If there has to be all aspects of your being that they have to already be. I don't want to say in 5D because there's some parts of our beings that remain in 4D and remain in 3D. Like
Sure.
they rock, right? But like everyone's on board. Like we all know what this is. Like if
Yeah, we're all there right now, like simultaneously. Like we're in all three states and beyond, right? There's like 12, 13 dimensions. Who knows how many there are.
yeah, here we're over here. We're just like
Right. Well, in Ken Wilber's theory, integral theory, which shout out to Mike Bledsoe at his summit. He was talking a lot about this. When you reach the new stage, it transcends the old stage, but it still includes it. So someone living in 3D reality, right? They just think matter exists. They're not super aware of energy. They're moving the chess pieces. That's awesome. A lot of people thrive there. Then you get to 4D and you're like, wait, there's a space-time matrix. I can like travel time with my mind. The mind is a time travel organ, is how I see it. And that transcends 3D, but it includes it. So you're still moving chess pieces, you're still doing the damn thing. And then you get up to 5D and you're talking about that emotional resonance, which I would agree with. When you're in 5D, you're in resonance with life itself and the energy of the universe. So in 5D, you tend to operate from the heart, which is what you were talking about. It's not so much about the mind. The ego is still there, but it's not the center point. And so 5D transcends 4D in that space time, but it also includes it. And so when we move in business and with money and with, coaching or whatever it is, consulting, whatever we're doing, if we're in that 5D mode, we're actually a high performer in 4D and 3D too, if we're lined up.
If we're lined up.
That's it.
Oh. Oh, be lined up. Yeah, yeah. Well said, brother. Well said. 100%. I couldn't agree more.
So let's focus on this game idea because I think this is really powerful. Even as I'm a former gamer and I still love game theory. Um, why would you frame reality as a game and call it gameplay? Let's talk about that.
Games are fun, reality is fun if you learn how to make it fun. One of my shamans says, like, when we're talking about stuff or whatnot, or somebody's like, hey, as my daughter says, have fun with that. And if you can't have fun with that, remember to have fun not having fun with that. It's really one of those things that I'm going through my most like darkest night of the soul. When I look back at it, I'm like, that was some funny shit.
Right.
Shit. That was some funny shit, right? So I'm like, that's the main reason I call it gameplay. It takes the seriousness out of it, and then someone's gonna be like, oh gosh, like what if you lose a family member or something like that? There's nothing funny about that. It's serious. It is serious, but seriousness and calm are only exist because of both of the. It goes back to the law of polarity. So here we back are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, hey, does that mean in the 3D I'm not gonna grieve? No. Does that mean in 4D I'm not going to process all those emotions? No. Does that mean I'm not planning a funeral? No. Does that not mean I'm doing all that stuff? Of course. Does that mean I'm laughing while I'm doing it? No, it doesn't mean that. But the thing is, when that happens, whether or depending on your level of integration at that time, right? Literally, I know personally people that are at a place of like massive like they're paralyzed and stuff like, and like throughout like they've gone through some serious serious S word life things happenings, and they're fine as can be. They're like, I'm gonna look at this like a journey, and I'm like, wow, like what I mean, that's like this is the further ascension dissolving of the ego process when things like that happen. And in that moment, going back to other dark nights of the soul, when I was just saying like, hey, when I look back, it's funny. In that moment, it wasn't funny. I was gaining the high,
Mm-hmm.
then look back at it and see the comedy of the whole thing. And then some people will say, like, well, death isn't funny at all. Well, I'm like, we don't really die. Right? So I'm like, all right, so you know what I mean? So different people are going to be ready for different. This is why it doesn't all just come at once and whatnot. But in essence, I was just speaking to the devil's advocates out there. In essence, gameplay, because really, come on, guys, look at the hardest shit you ever done, the most, strong. If we were just for sake of conversation, omit death for a second here, you know, I would venture to say 98% of people will be like, you know what, that was some fun shit. Granted, you came out of it. You came out of it. You grew from it, right? Like, you're probably not watching this if you did it anyway. So, you look back and be like, damn, that was some fun shit. I remember when, I lost like 80 grand on my real estate investment, and my supplement company was going out of business at the time. This is when COVID first started. Looking
Mm-hmm.
at it, I'm like, that was kind of funny. I was tripping.
Right.
Like, I was tripping. I was spazzing out. I'm like, fuck. Toilet
When
paper.
you have perspective, that levity, the humor, laughter. I think humor is a sacred modality because when you're truly in laughter and having fun, you're not there. It naturally takes the ego to a level of surrender, which is extremely important, and that will pop you into 5D. So I think you're nailing something here where if we see things as play, because when we're playing, we're actually in a state of hyper learning. So that's huge. Like if you want to deal with money, if you want to date, if you want to have amazing, fulfilling life, treat it as play. That's one. And then two, when we're able to laugh at ourselves and with others in the universe, it's not always just laughing at ourselves, but to be able to laugh at a situation and find the humor, find that funny bone, you're going to create A, better lessons, and B, you're just going to have more well-being. So this is where it comes back to, is like, how do you want to feel? How do you want to integrate experiences, good and bad, right? And that's where you see it as a game, not to trivialize, but see it as something that can be fun, enjoyable, even when it fucking sucks.
Yes, you rack up enough of those experiences too, you're able to go through it in the moment and be able to catch yourself, be like, wait, there's something happening here, you know? Yeah, it's a really humbling experience. It makes life, as you go through this, you end up shouldering more of the burdens of everyone around you, and as it should be.
Mm.
But you end up processing the energy for the collective even more. And it's cool because the universe compensates you to the law of reciprocal altruism. So, I mean, you're really winning. You're really ascending. You're really getting more cool shit and more of what you want. You're taking on more responsibility from a spiritual place. That's really what it's all about. You might as well have fun with it. Here we are.
That's it.
Here we
So
are.
let's zoom in on some of these natural laws. You've mentioned a few: law of polarity, law of reciprocity, law of cause and effect. How do you apply natural law, the Hermetic principles, they have many names, in your business or coaching practice?
That's a really good question. So essentially, the quantum mechanics is a scientific delineation, explanation, or backing of these universal laws. Every time that something, because every time we coach, it's like, what's moving outside of center, that coming from? And one, is it part of an aspect that needs to be realigned? Or two, is it another aspect that's being birthed, that's getting integrated? No matter what, it's going to go into the laws. It's going to map back to universal principles at some place. So then when we identify the principle, and then we look at it from the lens of the principle. And then we put the context, we put what's happening in context of in the universal law context. And then from there, we back it with quantum science. So then, because that's like undisputable science now at this point. So
Right.
the ego can then step aside. And when it steps aside, more of the actual spirit comes in. And then they can see what they're supposed to be seeing that they didn't see when it moved them out of the sense of peace. And then the frequency goes up. And then the reality adjusts and takes form to the new higher frequency. And then they move the needle forward. You unlock a higher level of performance, more stability in your business, more effective processes, better relationships, being a better leader, higher revenue. These things naturally just take form in the 3D, and they cascade from that place. So that would be how we use universal laws. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And this stuff is, the ancients were talking about it. All traditions, the Taoists, the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Egyptians, the Mayans, they were all talking about this stuff. And people are like, well, that's cool. It's poetry, it's esoteric. Like, what does it fucking mean? But now, if you take the particle colliders and the super electron microscopes to the core of reality, these particles that are it's actually happening. And it's physical, even if it's at the tiny quantum level, it's
Yeah.
actually happening. And what's really wild is what's called the observer effect, or Bell's theorem in quantum physics, is that the observation of the particle or the wave changes it and changes the experiment. So the mind is also physically interacting with matter on a literal level. And this is not some bullshit woo-woo.
They know, I like that woo woo shit, you know what I mean? But I mean, like, hey, the woo woo
It's
shit
great.
on some real life shit, you know what I mean? So, well said, well said. Yeah, the observer effect is crazy because it actually is why we use the universal laws in the quantum theory, just to get you to observe the actual potential from the lens of the spiritual, which then literally collapses the electrons in your body and reality to then represent the higher meaning that is coming into your being from the emotions of the situation, which is you growing, like the tree growing. The tree don't stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cool thing is what I really love about my higher level clients is, and I don't want to sound like, there's a fucking, it's a different step on the process, guys. Everyone
Yeah.
higher level, not like anybody can figure this out. Is when these principles, you do it so much that this way of looking and processing reality, it gets embedded into your unconscious mind. This is the end
Mm-hmm.
of reality mastery. To become a master of your reality, the whole point of doing this work is so that you can look at reality unconsciously, using these rules and modes of knowing what is happening around you. It's really a knowing. And then it gets past the I'm off center, what law is this? Okay, adjust. Or even staying on center while things are happening, and then there's some back end process. You know what I mean? It's literally like you are at a different. I love the Gary Vee reference. If you've seen his stuff lately, because again, his tree don't stop growing. No, like it's getting more dense, more on point. He's doing even more stuff. It's like problems problems and solutions just go away. Like you're just acting in life, right? Because your unconscious mind, what literally just animates your behavior without you even doing anything, is fully embedded with, you're fully embodying at an unconscious level the laws of the universe, the quantum science delineations, and the ego's fully on board. All areas of the spectrum of life, which takes some time. So, be patient. You know what I mean?
Well, this is why we put in those reps with practicing these laws and the small things, because it moves from that conscious competence. Oh, I understand it, I'm using it. And then what you're talking about, that unconscious competence, where it actually becomes completely natural in the true sense. Like it's natural. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's how you operate. That's when you enter a new paradigm. And Gary Vee is, the GOAT with this, with content, entrepreneurship. I mean, even the way he's leading the game with NFTs right now, he has assimilated this stuff so deeply that his paradigm is just flowing in natural law. And so his deal flow, his income, his collaborations, his art, all of it, he's just a magnet now.
Right. And then so you're basically just watching this movie. Like what I mean? I always like to say, like, my spirit is driving and my ego is in the passenger seat enjoying the scenery, And that's really how I want to invite everyone to look at it. Just let your egos just chill and watch the movie, the drama, the theater of your life.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. All the time. Life, business, relationships, friends. Oh my God. Especially and let me go. I go outside, dog. I swear to God, people just fuck with me for no reason. I'm just watching this. You know what I mean? I just have a good time with it. You know what I mean? I'm like, sure, go ahead. You know what I mean? I'm like, God always got my back. It's hilarious. I just be watching whatever my body decides to do at that time. But, on paper, it can look like people are disrupting my night out with my friends or my woman. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating. I'm like, if I would have let that get to me like that, I'm like, but I'm providing a service. I'm sharing my light. Spiritually, their souls are crying out for help. Their spirits like, oh, look, there's more light. Go over there. Get the shadow out. And then they get it out. Yeah. And then here it is. I'm like, ew, move. You know what I mean? I'm going to have a drink right now. Leave. and then I'm like, and then we play this game. And then, and honestly, people someone ask me, like, don't you get up? Like, just the other day, you know what I mean? Like, and I got no problem punking the shit out of somebody for God. Like, I will do that. No problem. I will maintain order. You're not fucking with the love and the peace out here. You're not. You're just not.
That's right.
You're just not. And, my girl's like, there's this one dude at this bar who's grabbing a drink. I don't know, literally, he's sitting on the iPad outside. I didn't even remember. She told me about this. I'm like, oh yeah, look at the homie right there next to the fire pit. He's got his iPad out, a little shot, enjoying his fucking Wednesday night. I'm like, let's go. I can tell he was vibing. Lo and behold, 2 weeks ago, I had kind of just punked the shit out of this dude outside the bar. You know what I mean? Because he just kept fucking with people and fucking with my space and fucking with he just kept fucking around. So I mean, this is what it is. And then my girl was like, you didn't even remember him, huh? I was like, oh, that wasn't that guy?
Autopilot.
I don't remember.
Autopunk.
Bro, I don't even remember. My spirit just took over, handled it. I'm like, I just needed a hug. And now I'm like, all right, let's get another round of shots. Let's go. I'm like, that's a good time. You know how many people not even how many people, myself back in the day, for one, I would let that bother me for a while. Whether or not, you know what I mean, I quote socially won the situation. Fuck all that. My piece of, and then seeing him again, I'm over here, I would have been like, oh, there's that guy. You know what I mean? I'm like,
right.
Now I'm having a great time. Like, you know what I mean? I'm having a great time. Were the emotions annoying? Yeah, but they flow through my body and they left, you know? So, you know, even socially, just your life in general, it's not only about making money. I mean, these principles, you know, are unidimensional across all walks of life. But I just want to share that story, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it just really just, you just keep
Yeah.
it's more. That's all.
It's valuable because
Yeah.
this is the key what I was hearing is, when you don't take things personally or attach to outcomes or get worked up and make it like an enemy or a savior, or you become a victim, like you said, the stuff will just flow through. You might get upset, you might get shocked, you might get frustrated, deal with it, come from a place of integrity, and then it'll just move right through. And then the beautiful thing is you won't remember because you're not ruminating on it and you're not trying to hold on to it. If it's not valuable, why would you hold on to the information? Let the thoughts just, and this guy, he probably learned something, or let's hope that he learned something, or at least,
A good mood. And he, you know, like, I think he did.
yeah, I trust that he did. So, Akash, to pivot here for a bit, if anyone has any questions they want to type in the chat, we're happy to go off on that. We've got some homies um, from my squad in here and yours, but I want to, you were mentioning you and your lady are thinking about moving in together. And this is something I've been studying a lot and working on with clients is polarity. So how do we keep the attraction high, the sexuality high, the spontaneity high, while also building a strong relationship, right? And the dance inside of that, which also obviously comes a lot from those natural laws. So I'm curious, some of your takes on that or personal
Yeah.
experiences.
Um, So first of all, you know, I mean, she's my twin flame, so the whole relationship like just moves completely different than other ones. You know what I mean? So I would say twin flame relationships, like you really have to like those are their own kind of thing. The laws apply to all of them, but I will say that they just move different, and I want to preface with that because you know other relationships that they might be karmic, they might be things. They might be meant to not create harmony.
Sure.
You know, they might be supposed to be disharmony. So you know, use self-awareness. But what I will say is, let's say, is the question using the knowledge of, you know, universal law, esoteric principles to create more harmony within living with the partner? Is that the question?
Yeah, and just the experience of being in a relationship.
Yeah. Okay. So what I would say is that with her and I, we have a beautiful like push-pull kind of thing going on. My masculine and feminine is very developed and her masculine and feminine is very developed, but in completely different ways. So
Mm,
what is like my energies are more balanced on a feminine place and a masculine place, but I find myself having to de-throttle on the masculine side of things to create a more of an energetic signature that is more in resonance with her position, with her masculine energies. Her feminine energies are on fleek,
mm,
fleek. But there's a certain ratio that she is striving towards that I can assist by literally doing less masculine energy stuff. Now,
mm-hmm.
this happens naturally just from the energy I take in from, you know, just the energy of the environment and her aura. Like naturally, I will just do less masculine energies. Like it just certain moves in business all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, she's at the gym and stuff like that. I could very well just stay in this place and be like, just work, 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 work right now. But it's St. Patrick's Day. I know she wants to go do stuff. She wants me to go get her nails done with her and stuff like that. Like, I'm not doing that. I could work there. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
you know, me normally, I'll just be at my desk, you know, doing my right. So there's a certain amount of malleability that, and again, I'm not thinking that I'm doing this. I'm just delineating what's going on just for the sake of,
right.
right? You know it is. But I would say be very keen on the energy flow between you and your partner because it goes back to the whole thing is if it's you can go faster alone but further together. Her energies bring me this sense of retarded peace of mind. Like I just have this
It's
next
great.
like I just got just straight like I could do anything. Like I could deal with all the uncertainty of the universe and just come back home and cuddle. So that
Yeah.
is worth to me more than any type of masculine output at all. Now, as she ascends in herself, I mean, she's like trying to get like these, this like fitness shit out there. so this booty band workout shit, like trying like slang e-commerce and stuff. I'm all like, I can do that. I can do that. I can help, right? You know what I mean? But like, see, like right there, if I get all excited and be like, hey, boom, 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 but like I gotta let her kind of, you know, go at this. And a lot of guys that ain't
Very wise.
they will if you're not healed and you're masculine, you will fucking just bombard her with like all this like we need to do this, make a store. I'm like, well, first of all, where's your store and where's the shit that you sell? Where's your stuff? You're over here trying to do all this, right? So I mean, you really gotta pay attention. Like, are you being a toxic masculine by trying to quote unquote help? And also, are you too passive, right? Maybe you're not balanced in your feminine energies. Maybe you're just workaholic. Now you're just judging them all the time. Right, so these things will fuck living together all the way up, or a relationship in general. That'll just fuck everything up. So, man, if two people are not healed, oh boy,
Truths.
oh
Yeah.
boy, oh boy.
Yeah, you're bringing up some amazing points here, Akash. I mean, practicing this myself with my queen, who's doing similar work. She's an amazing coach, does embodiment for feminine leaders and relationships. And when we are in our co-working space, so we're nomadic, so we're just like boom, like we were in Tulum last month, we're here in Austin for a couple of months, we're going to be in Europe, like, so we just have to, we're learning it on the go in dynamicism. And what you're talking about is brilliant. When she's in her business mode and I'm in my business mode, they're different, right? And we're both G's, but it's different. Sometimes I just want to go into problem solver, like you're talking about. I'm like, yep, I know all the solutions to this. Boom, 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 bing, bing, bing. And that's not what she wants to hear, especially her feminine heart, who wants to be seen and appreciated. So this is a huge thing about the feminine at the codex of like the queen. She just wants to be seen and acknowledged. Sometimes for her beauty and her radiance, other times for her masculine, right? Her feminine and masculine want to be acknowledged and seen, especially if she's a feminine dominant being, which my partner is. I'm assuming your partner is. This is where I've fucked up in the past a lot, and I see men fuck up that I work with, is you just go into problem solver. You'll try to out masculine her masculine with yours. And while that might work in like a survival situation, like a car's about to hit her, like, yeah, use your strong body that's stronger than hers to get her the fuck out the way. Great. When you're talking about emotions and money and sexuality and business at home, you're going to create tension and you're going to create miscommunication. And then you're going to have to fix that shit later. And that's when it piles up, that's when you build that incompatible relationship.
100%, brother. And like that's the thing, use these I would say data points, if you will, like, for those people listening who are going to watch it back, use these data points to like literally look and be like, hey, can I use this place of disharmony I found myself in to look at like, all right, if I'm experiencing disharmony, because if you're experiencing the disharmony, it's you, dog. It's you.
Yeah.
100%.
If you're feeling it, it's you.
Did this. I'm like, no. You just responded to it. Because you have a disharmony, something's not a harmony in you. So look at that, right? Are you being a toxic masculine? Are you being a toxic feminine? Men and women together. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not feeling good, it's your own fault, 100%. So, just really look at that. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. The best thing I can say is to leave the situation, go for a walk alone in nature, like literally go sit in the car. I don't care. Everyone got their modalities, whatever. And like literally just look at the situation of what is in me that is making this situation frustrating even. Because otherwise for me, like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm with my lady and she does something, I'm like, I feel the emotion of the annoyance, but I'm not really annoyed at all. I'm just like, whatever. Yeah. On with the day. Do you want a bagel? I'll stop at Panera. Like literally, you know what I mean? It's just the emotion that come out, whatever. Right? And like really, that's really the only thing. Like, oh my God, like I am so like wrong about how I look at the situation is what happens when you just really surrender to everything is my own responsibility. And, it's hard to do, especially when you're very accomplished,
Sure.
And what is really accomplishment? Are you using like money? Are you using stability? Are you using I have things? Are you using like I got all these relationship experiences? Like what is this, There's really no one's better or worse. Like honoring people at their process. I think that's really the key to living together, honoring people at their process, whatever that point is. And then to be able to do that, you'll have to be like completely healed at your in your pro like you have to be in like harmonious orchestration with the universe, in resonance with your higher self, all these, these words. And it's really hard. I think the energy, like, oh, like, wow, it just put me into how hard that is right now, like that. And I'm just like, damn, that's difficult, you know. It's really,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of days where I'll just be like, having to meditate, take a walk for like hours sometimes. You know what I mean? Just to
Yeah.
because the energies I've had times like that, because the energies are so big, in especially in twin flame relationships. They're so big. I mean, you're learning so much, you're getting stretched so much. And like, I know these things, but I'm like, damn, it's like, I know I'm building a bigger chest to this bench press, but I'm like, fuck, this 400 pounds, this is some shit right here. I'm like, God, can I get a spot? Jesus. Jesus,
Yeah.
Jesus, spot me. Jesus.
We know Jesus is jacked. Jesus can spot that for sure.
A savage dog. You're it's like, but yeah, bro, that was a savage question. That put me into the energetic space of like what that is to go through. And man, what's that? It's like a very somber yet like eloquent mode. It's like beautiful, but like fuck.
It's
Yeah.
big, man, and it's deep. It goes deeper. Like if you start a business, and you know this as a serial entrepreneur, you start a business, it's your baby, you work on it, it just bombs. It sucks. It doesn't work. You have to break up with it. You'll get pissed, shit'll happen, but you'll get over it fast. When you
Yeah.
love a woman and you're all in and it's like that twin flame energy and it gets fucked up, you get rocked. Like some of
Yeah.
my
Oh,
darkest moments in the past, I got destroyed by relationships.
bro, it's part of the game too, because you're getting stretched. I always tell my like I'm like the business mountain is like the bunny slope compared to the love twin flame mountain. That shit is like Death Mountain all the way at the top. Like get ready to die, like over
Yeah.
and over and over again. Like get ready to die, dog. And I'm like, this makes anything in the boardroom or sitting at table. I'm like, hey, I'll tell you what, sales calls are, this is nothing. Negotiating, nothing. Like all that managing nothing. Workflow, nothing. Nothing compares to that. And that's a good place to be, honestly. So I would
It's a
look,
great place to be.
hey, people, anybody going through like relationship stuff, just understand you're getting souped up by God right now, or your higher
That's
self.
it. That's it. But I'm sure you've noticed this. I know with like my VIP clients that are like, they're in 6, 7 figure range for sure. They're crushing it. They're known in their industry. They're breaking records, whatever. Their number one thing that they come with all these other excuses or ideas, but once we get under the hood, what is it? It's the marriage. It's dating. It's the ex-wife, whatever. This is where the meat is. This is where the money is on a deep energetic level, is because if you can master relating and if you can really show up what we're talking about, radical self-ownership, responsibility, taking your emotions not personally and projecting it onto your partner and making it just a swamp shit show, but being like, oh shit, I got some stuff here. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to go lift. I'm going to go walk. I'm going to go sit in nature and do some breath work, whatever it is. That is the game. And then what happens? They were already crushing business. You get a little tantric practice, you get them some communication tools. Their business 10x's and they're doing less work because they're emotionally aligned. It's a
Oh,
game changer.
yeah, yeah. As soon as you really pull back the curtains on what's going on, it's always relationships, either with self, business partners, and then the kicker, the intimacy at home, the partners, which is no small feat. Jesus, that shit is really easy for people that aren't in business or stuff like that, like or work. Like trust me, that shit's so much easier than doing the home life. This is why they always say moms are like super moms and shit, taking care of the family and the household stuff. I'm like, there's a reason it gets so much clout. I'm like, because if you really get it, it's not easy. It's not easy because all these things are extensions of us, right?
That's
Yeah,
it. That's it, man.
that's it.
Well, as we start to wrap here, Akash, so many thought bombs are dropped here. And someone was like, please save this. It's like, I'm going to repost this. So make sure you check it out later if you just joined. Um, what would you say in 2022 is two-parter? A, the most exciting thing you're working on. So what are you like amped on? What is like the thing that you're like, this is it for this year? Maybe it's not here yet. Maybe it's coming. And then two, what is the biggest obstacle or fear or like, oh shit, that you're facing this year?
I would say the biggest fear would be like losing my twin flame relationship somehow, like which is something
Hmm.
true still, because like I'm like it's been so much. I'm like it's just been so much. So I would say I'm working through that fear still, like the fear of like almost like the death of it. I would say that would be the biggest fear, and probably the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is combining realities, really. Uh,
Nice.
but like just being really patient with it, like however long like it needs to take or whatever. Like just being really present, like presence all the time. Because for me, I could just feel like from the internal work, like the same way you cut a tree open and you can see how long it's been alive. You can go internal and see your timeline. I'm like, I've seen my timelines. You know what I mean? I know how to do that. You know what I mean? Anyone can learn. Just saying. Like, so I've seen to the future. I'm like, okay, so I see the events that are coming. And oh wow, like as I look at the events, I'm like, they're inevitable. It makes the fear dissolve. But then as you
Hmm.
like, at times they'll just creep back in, and again, it's putting that level of trust and faith in the domain of in this context. I'm a twin flame relation. It's putting that into the unconscious faith in it, right? Because this is newer for me. It's like we know each other for a couple of years, but it's like 6 months. So I'm like, okay. So at some point it'll reach my unconscious, and then boom, I won't have any fear of it anymore. So I'm excited about that, and I'm also excited for the reality merger, because the thing,
Hmm.
so many cool things that are gonna come as a byproduct, right? Because the sense of peace, right? I mean, the level of uncertainty, I can really manipulate the matrix and the fabric of the space time just so much easier. I make more money when our relationship is good. It's weird. Like
Facts.
no reason. When our relationship is on point, like I'm like money get in my bank account right now. Like like it just does. And um for whatever reason, just revenue will just slow down if we're going through like a separation or something like that, or you know what I mean, or what
Sure.
you know what I mean. It's so crazy. So as a divine masculine, I really look forward to the union. And things I'm working on in business. I don't want to talk too much, but we could have a private conversation about that. I know there's some cool stuff, whatnot, that we can do together, and just also just homies. We can just definitely we can do that on a private. But yeah, those would be the two things that I'm afraid of, and the one thing I'm afraid of, and I think I'm most excited about.
Yeah, brother, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I mean, this is like I can relate to 100% what you're talking about. This is what the Greeks and the Romans and all these the OGs in those traditions talked about, which is the hieros gamos, which is the union of masculine and feminine. This is the birthplace of creation. And
Yeah,
obviously, when a man and woman come together, they can literally create a life. But when the energies are playing together, like you're talking about, and you're on the business level, you're on the life level, the emotional, mental level, this is where the best shit comes from. Best creativity, best ideas, deals, business value, props, whatever it is. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. When you're charged up, when you're polarized, when the eros is there, you have this energy which is unstoppable. And people feel that when you're on a sales call, when you're walking into those bars, when you're on the street, you're at the gym, people feel that. And it's just magnetic. People want to fuck with you. They want to do business with you, want to be your friend. They want to learn from you. They want to teach you. They want to lift you up. And it's unstoppable.
bro, big facts, bro, big facts. And it's funny, we've like not gone into it, but like in public, like we're figuring something out, and then literally I can see the environment. People are like, what's going on over there? What's going on over there? And then out of nowhere, we'll just boom, we'll just come back together. And then out of like this one time it happened at the gym, right? And then literally just space clears. Everything just goes back to harmony. Everyone else is like, oh, okay. And then we're just laughing, having a good time. It's so reality. It just responds so quickly. I just, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure we got other people listening. Got a twin flame relationship. They're really cool. They're really cool. They really changed the whole game, man. As a creator, it makes it way
True.
to create.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you haven't experienced this kind of relationship, best way to do it, be a good partner to yourself. Create the inner union first. The outer union has to appear when you do that. This is the whole game. It's an inside job, just like with everything else. But more explosively than anything else is dating, relationships, sexuality. Because when the inner world's locked in and you're meeting like your inner woman or your inner man, and those inner yin and yang are meeting, you'll meet the partner and you'll recognize them instantly. That's been my experience. I know so many people have had that experience. So if you're listening and you're like, where the fuck is mine, right? What are y'all talking about? I want that, or I wish I had that, whatever. It's coming. It's available to you now. You just have to take those steps and actually do that shadow work, which is going to be, it might suck at first, but you're going to look back and laugh and love it.
Bro, well said. And just my last little add on, just on that note, like after my last relationship before, I took about 8 months to myself in straight hermit mode, doing exactly what Kevin just said. Like, okay, like getting really, really cool with me on a really deep level. Um, just being really cool, just being so alone, long walks, like just by myself, like. But I was just at such peace and harmony, and then I started going out, and then lo and behold, it was the most funniest shit in the world. Just the universe said, boop, just put the little thing right there. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go to my friend's house. Do you want to come? He's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm like, all right, and then here we are.
Yep.
Funny ass shit, man. I love you, brother. This call was litty. Next time we're going live on my account. All right, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's do it, Kosh. If y'all
All
aren't
right,
following this man, go check him out. Thank you so much for listening. Share this if you are vibing, if you've gotten value, if you're really feeling it. Tag somebody who gets to hear this stuff. I'll see you soon, bro.
love you, brother. I'll give you a ring real quick.